Squid Game is full of deadly games, but this leaves us with one question. Out of all the games, which one is the most deadly? Today, I'm going over every single game from the entire series and ranking them to find out which one is the most deadly. Starting with an unexpected one. Remember when the salesman showed up at the train station with those colorful paper tiles? Dokji is the recruitment game that led to everything. You try to flip paper tiles by slamming them on the ground. If you win, you get cash and an invitation to get the games. Lose, you get slapped across the face. That's it. A slap. No bullets, no falling to your death. No getting stabbed by another player. Just a red handprint on your face and wounded pride. In a series where every other game ends with a pile of bodies, Dokji is basically a friendly handshake. It's the only game in the entire franchise with a 0% death rate. Players had no idea this would be the safest they'd ever be, if only they knew what was coming. This game lands in F tier. Free pass. But you might be wondering, how does the ranking system work? We've got 6 tiers total. F tier is for games where you'll most definitely walk away alive from. D tier means decent odds if you've got skills. C tier is coin flip territory. Could go either way. B tier means you're probably dead. A tier is basically a death sentence. And S tier? That's reserved for games so deadly you shouldn't even try. But what is the next deadly game? Season 3 brought us Jump Rope, but this isn't your playground version. Players stand on a narrow elevated platform while a massive rope swings at them. Get knocked off and you're dead. The rope starts slow but speeds up with each round, swinging higher and harder. Here's why it's not as deadly as you'd think. If you've got timing and decent legs, you can survive this. The game rewards athletic ability and coordination. Sure, plenty of people die when they mistime their jump or lose balance, but compared to what's coming, this is actually manageable. You control your own fate. No betrayals, no luck, just you versus the rope. This game gets put in D tier, though that's not the only game where you get some control. This Season 3 game splits players into hunters and hunted. Red team gets knives, blue team gets keys and a head start in a neon-painted maze. Red hunts blue. Simple as that. Sounds terrifying, right? But blue team members who are smart about hiding and moving and have some combat skill actually have a real chance. The maze gives you options. You can use stealth, misdirection, and the keys to escape. The red team might have weapons, but they still have to find you first. Quick thinking and good hiding spots like the old man's can keep you alive. Not everyone dies in this game, which already makes it better than most. Hide and seek lands in D tier, but that brings us to the second variation of a classic game. Same giant doll, same rules, but completely different results. When red light, green light returned in Season 2, the veterans knew exactly what they were walking into.
이거 그냥 게임이 아닙니다.
No more mass panic. No more confused players running around wondering what's happening. The death rate dropped hard. Players moved carefully, stayed calm, and most importantly, they believed it was real from the start. The element of surprise was gone, and with it, most of the deaths. Sure, some people still messed up and got shot, but nothing like the bloodbath of Season 1. Experience turned one of the deadliest games into something almost manageable. Season 2's version gets D tier. While we'll get into the Season 1 version much later, let's talk about a different Season 1 game first. The Honeycomb Challenge looked so innocent. Each player picks a tin with a shape pressed into sugar candy, then has to carve it out perfectly using just a needle. Break your shape? Bullet to the head. Your survival depends massively on which shape you picked. Got the triangle? You'll probably make it. Circle? Not too bad. Star? Getting risky. But if you picked the umbrella, your chances just dropped hard. Those tiny detailed points break if you breathe wrong. The game does reward steady hands and patience. Players figured out tricks like licking the candy to weaken it. But at the end of the day, your fate was mostly sealed the moment you picked your tin. Pure luck disguised as a skill game. Honeycomb goes to C tier, a sort coin flip territory. But that's not the only game where your luck determined your fate. Season 2's Team Challenge tied 6 players together and made them complete a series of brutal physical tasks. Everyone moves together, or everyone dies together. Skilled teams could actually pull this off. Strong coordination, good communication, and physical fitness gave you a real shot. But here's the catch. You're only as strong as your weakest link. One person trips, panics, or can't keep up, your whole team is done. The game killed plenty of teams, but the ones who worked well together had a fighting chance. It's that balance between skill and uncontrollable factors that makes it so unpredictable. Six-legged pentathlon earns C tier, though even that is nothing compared to the absolute massacre that was the next game. The game that started it all. When that giant doll's head turned for the first time and people started dropping, nobody knew what hit them. The rules were simple. Move on green light, freeze on red light, Move during red light? You're dead. But it wasn't the rules that killed most people, it was the shock. Players thought it was a joke until the first gunshots. Then came the screaming, the running, the total panic. Hundreds died in minutes, most because they couldn't process what was happening fast enough. Once you understood the rules and got your nerves under control, it was actually survivable. The players who kept cool and moved carefully made it through. The game itself isn't that deadly, the surprise factor was. Take that away, like in Season 2, and the death rate plummets. The original red light, green light sits at C tier. But while this game was manageable with good nerves, the next game isn't that easy. 2 teams, 1 rope, 1 massive drop. Tug of War is brutally simple. Pull the other team off the platform or fall to your death. No middle ground, no second chances. It's a straight 50% death rate by design. Teams with good strategy could improve their odds. The old man's technique of leaning back, using your whole body weight, timing your pulls, these things mattered. Strong teams with good coordination could beat physically stronger opponents. But at the end of the day, half the players were always going to die. The platform doesn't care about your strategy when you're plummeting toward the ground. Tug of War enters B tier, up probably dead. And that brings us to the game the show is named after. The childhood game turned deathmatch. 2 players enter the sand arena for the final game. Only one walks away with the prize money. The rules allow for extreme violence, and by this point, both finalists have been through hell and have nothing left to lose. This is pure combat with almost no rules. You can fight, choke, stab, whatever it takes to win. The game pushes players to their absolute limit, forcing them to decide between their humanity and survival. It's designed to create a killer. It's still one-on-one combat, where skill, strength, and will to survive matter. The stronger or more ruthless player has a real advantage. Compare that to games of pure chance, and at least here, you have some control over your fate. The final Squid Game deserves B tier, but while it was the finale, there's multiple Season 1 games that were even worse. Starting off with Marbles, pick a partner, play any marble game you want. Winner lives, loser dies, simple rules, devastating results. Marbles wasn't just deadly, it was cruel. The game forced you to kill someone you'd grown close to. Many players partnered with their friends, spouses, or people they'd bonded with. Then they had to look them in the eye and condemn them to death. The 50% death rate was guaranteed, but what made it worse was the psychological torture. Some players threw their games to save loved ones. Others manipulated and cheated to survive. The lucky ones played strangers. The unlucky ones had to murder their friends. While deadly, you had some control through skill or manipulation, but that control came at a soul-crushing price. Marbles gets thrown into B tier. Now, Season 1 Episode 6 had a horrible game, but Season 2 Episode 6 was on a completely different level. When the platform starts spinning and the music plays, you might think you're at a party. Then a number gets called, and you have seconds to form groups of that size and rush into a room. Don't make it in time? You're dead. No room left? Dead. Chose the wrong allies who lock you out? Dead. Mingle is chaos designed to kill. The panic, the betrayals, the split-second decisions, it's engineered for maximum casualties. People shove, fight, and literally throw others aside to survive. Alliances mean nothing when the door is closing and there's one spot left. The sheer randomness and speed make this devastating. You can be the strongest, smartest player and still die because you were standing in the wrong spot when the music stopped. The game encourages players to sacrifice others, creating a stampede of desperate people. The death toll is massive every single round. Mingle game reaches a tier. Death sentence. And that brings us to the worst game in Squid Game Season 1, Glass Bridge. 18 players, 16 steps. 2 choices per step. 1 sends you plummeting to your death. Do the math, the first half of the players at least are dead. Glass Bridge is pure probability turned into murder. Each player has to choose between 2 glass panels. One tempered that holds your weight, one that shatters instantly. No skill, no strategy, just luck. The first player has a 0.0015% chance of guessing all panels correctly. They're not making it. The psychological torture is watching others fall, knowing your turn is coming. The later you go, the better your odds, but you're watching a trail of corpses mark the safe path. By the time the final players cross, they're walking on knowledge paid for in blood. Almost everyone dies. The few survivors are there by pure position luck, not skill. Glass Bridge shatters into a tire. And with that, we're at number 1, Squid Game. The final game of Season 3 takes everything brutal about Squid Game and cranks it up to maximum. 3 elevated platforms shaped like the iconic symbols. The rules? Push at least 3 other players to their deaths across 3 rounds. Not 1, not 2, 3 murders minimum just to advance. This isn't a game, it's engineered slaughter. The platforms are high enough that falling means instant death. The requirement to kill multiple people means even if you survive, you're doing it by becoming a serial killer. The game doesn't just encourage violence, it mandates it. Every other game at least pretended to give everyone a chance. Squid Game drops that pretense entirely. It wants maximum deaths and maximum brutality. Players form alliances just to betray them seconds later. The strong prey on the weak. Parents push children. Friends murder friends. The baby being the only survivor wasn't heartwarming. It was proof of how completely the game destroyed everyone else. Hundreds entered those platforms. One baby survived because everyone else killed each other. No other game comes close to this level of guaranteed carnage. Squid Game claims the throne at S tier. Why even try? Squid Game sits alone in S tier because it's not testing luck, skill, or even your will to survive. It's testing how many people you're willing to murder. And if you're not willing, then you're just another body hitting the ground. And that's the deadliest games in Squid Game ranked. If you enjoyed this video and want to see every time Gi-hun deserved to die, click the video on the screen.